What's going on, everyone? I'm your host, Riker, and you're listening to House of Horizons, where we elevate our everyday life. Today, I have a special guest with me. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's JoDee Ensman. I'm a life coach. I always tell people I'm a life coach, but I don't know what you should do with your life. I just help teenagers and young adults kind of start using their brain as one of their assets instead of like living at the effect of their life. So I just love working with teenagers. I live in Arizona. I have 4 kids. I'm a hygienist. So I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah, perfect. And for everyone out there, we know each other. We're
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
Um, she is my mom's cousin.
Yes.
And when I was younger and lived back in Arizona, she was my dental hygienist.
I know. We're so close. I even know about your teeth, Riker. It's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a couple years because I moved away from Arizona 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's
How
been a
about
minute.
you miss Arizona? Or you're like in your new.
I hate the winter. It's
Yeah.
terrible. I
Yeah.
hate the winter. Missouri winters
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
Like, I just want the weather back from Arizona.
I hear you. Unless it's July, then it's pretty terrible.
That's,
But yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true. I'm not used to all the cold weather. We had two cold fronts. It was
Yeah.
-4 the other day. I'm
Mhm.
like, no.
At least you got your beanie. So
Yeah.
set.
I was like, I'm not doing this. But
Yeah.
I tried to get by,
Yeah.
and
You're doing it.
winters are okay.
Yeah.
And I play baseball, you know that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um, my first game that I ever played here, I was pitching in 22-degree weather,
Nice.
and it was like flurrying outside, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Was your arm
I'm like,
like
I could be,
freezing up hard? Were you
yeah, I was freezing. I had hot hands in my back pockets. I was just trying to get through the game.
Yeah.
I'd go in, put a big coat on.
Oh
We
my
had propane heaters in the dugout, and I actually
God.
ended up burning my pants because I was that cold. I got too close.
You're like,
But
I cannot warm up. That's so awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess we can go ahead and jump into our topic for the day. And as everyone knows, I created this show to elevate our everyday lives and be 1% better each day. So Jody, how do you elevate your everyday life?
Yeah. Okay. I heard your first episode. So good, by the way. I think
Thank
it's
you.
awesome you're doing this. You're just killing it. So, I love what you said about not really liking, New Year's resolutions. Like I've done this before. Lots of people, it's like we come out with all these goals and they're so like rigid and we just like do it for like a couple days and it's like, well, I guess that didn't work. And it's like people call it like falling off the wagon or whatever. It's like, well, I guess that's not who I am. And then it's just like back to business as usual, which, so I love what you're talking about, like 1% better, right? And I was
Yep.
thinking about it, like, how do I do that? And it's funny because the way that I do it is kind of course, like a life coach. It's my mindset. So what I think every day is like, what would my future self thank me for? Like it's like that's like what I ask myself every day. Like so, it's like as simple as like if like in 5 years or two, if I go to the gym this morning, like in 5 years, and I go for the next 5 years, I'm gonna be so proud of myself. I'm gonna be like, thanks for hooking me up and like staying healthy. Or like as dumb as like cleaning your room. Like, you come in with all your clothes, if you just put them away, like the next day when you walk in your room, you're like, sweet, thanks for hooking me up with a clean room. So it's like those little decisions, like you're saying, like 1%, just like they're easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. And so it's like
Yeah.
compound, right? Like it's like, over time, if I go to the gym today and then the next day and then the next day over 5 years, that's a big difference. But like you said, it's like it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. So that's just my mindset is like, what's my future self gonna thank me for? Like saving this money, like going to the gym, whatever it is. That's kind of what how I try to do it.
Yeah. Um, and I'm not, like you said, you already knew I'm not big on New Year's
Yeah,
resolutions for that reason.
yeah,
Um, but I've challenged myself and my friends, especially in our last year of high school, just make the most of it and do what we can to be 1% better each day for ourselves.
I love
for the
it.
people around us, our peers, the administrators at our school, our coworkers, and all that. And I think so far it's gone over well. I haven't really asked anyone what they've done to be 1% better ever since I challenged them this new year, but I've definitely seen some differences. So
Good.
I think it's going well.
Good. What are you doing?
Um,
What are you doing? What are you doing for 1% better?
1% better.
Mhm.
I guess every day that I get home, I'm always doing something with the if I don't have any homework, I'm always down here in the studio. I'm working on something for this podcast because I feel like it makes me 1% better. I learn new things, this whole program that we're currently using. Um, and not even that, but just being 1%, trying to be 1% better for the people around me, the people that follow me
Yeah.
and are in for the journey. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been focusing on recently.
That's awesome. When you hang out with other people who are trying to like elevate themselves and do things that like helps you, you're like, they're doing that. I want to do this. So yeah, that's so awesome. Like get other people involved and like, help each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. So good.
And I did a guest appearance on another show, um, and we were talking about it, and I only have like 2 to 3 like real friends, friends that I'll hang out with
Yeah,
outside of school
yeah,
because we have like the same goals.
totally.
And I feel like surrounding yourself with people with the same goals and aspirations is how you get things done.
Yeah.
I feel like if you surround yourself with people that don't really want the same stuff as you in life, don't know like their goals, and I understand that goals are hard to have and what you
Mhm.
want to do in life,
Yeah,
but just having a rough idea of what you want, you can surround yourself with people that want that same thing.
totally. Have you
So,
heard that where you say like, if you hang out with like four people who get good grades, you'll be the fifth. Or if you hang out with like four people who like are addicted to video games, like you'll be the fifth. Or like it's like it
yeah,
actually is true. It's like it's a human need to have connection, to be, with other people. And so yeah, why don't we like pick those people on purpose? People who are like, hey,
yeah,
you could help me and I could help you and we could like rise together. That's awesome.
exactly. And that's what I did with my best friend when we started our podcast.
Yeah,
It wasn't anything for the school. It was just I had this teacher when I moved here, had him my sophomore year, my junior year, and now my senior year.
that's awesome.
And he's the broadcasting advisor. I'm in broadcasting. He's the
Yeah,
DECA advisor. I'm in DECA. He does all this stuff that I'm a part of.
yeah,
And he has all this just random equipment. And I ended up, like, some of the equipment that I have was stuff that he didn't use, and then stuff that he does use that I just bought on my own,
yeah,
for my studio. And I just went to my friend one day and I was like, we're starting a podcast.
yeah. Let's do it.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah,
He didn't think anything of it, and then all of a sudden we're recording episode 1, 1 month's down, 2 months down, we're 4 months deep.
heck
We
yeah,
didn't even think anything about it,
yeah.
but
You just gotta go.
it
Sometimes
works.
you just gotta go, right? It's like people
Yeah,
like you gotta know what you're doing, and you gotta. It's like honestly, like the people who make it are just the people who just make a chance. Like let's just guess what? We just have to know the next step and the next step. Like we don't have to have like our 10-year plan or know every little part, but like just like you're doing, it's like let me go get these speakers. Let me do this. I'll just do the next thing and the next thing. It doesn't have to be so overwhelming. Like what is my goal? It's like we don't have to know how I get to it. I just got to do the next thing and then the next thing. And that's exactly what you're doing, which is so awesome.
yeah, I feel like the hardest thing in anything you do in life is to start.
Totally.
Once you start, like, you're not gonna have a complete vision of what you want,
Mhm. Yeah.
but if you start, it'll all piece by piece come together and you'll figure it out on the way. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this.
Great. That's awesome.
I'm not 100% professional at this. I feel like I can say I know my bits and pieces of what I'm doing and
Oh,
could totally help other people, but
thank you. Yes.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to do and bring it all together.
Heck yeah.
So,
Get some momentum going. You're doing it. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and being a life coach, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you've been a life coach.
Okay.
I don't know that. But like what does it look like to be a life coach
Okay.
from like a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, I guess?
Yeah. So it is the coolest. I'll just tell you that. What I always tell teenagers is like, I don't like stare in your eyes and be like, tell me your problems. We kind of just like, what we do is like, we meet together. I always tell them it's going to be weird for 5 minutes and then we just go. And it's like, like everyone has struggles, everyone has issues, but instead of just like, just focusing on the past, it's like, okay, maybe this happened, maybe you're struggling with this. Now, where do we want to go? And a big thing, and I don't know if you will like identify with this, but lots of teenagers and even just people in general kind of have problems with like negative thoughts, and like feeling down on themselves and maybe trying to motivate themselves with goals, but like are down on themselves or feel like they're not enough. Like I don't know how many times I've heard people say, like, I'm just not enough. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean? You're not enough of what? And so I feel like one of my main, let's see, talents or just gifts is helping teenagers, especially, understand their worth. And I love this because it kind of goes with goals. Because what I kind of, we talk about 1% better, I love that. But also, this is what I want to say. I talk a lot about how, if I had $100 bill right now, Riker, would you want it?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. What if I like crumpled it up? Actually had one right here. What if I crumpled it up and it's all like, messed up and like wrinkly? You still want it?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. What if I get some dirt on it and like it's kind of like a little bit muddy, but I like just wipe it off? It's wrinkled, muddy. Do you still want it?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you want it?
$100.
Yeah. Because if it's dirty and wrinkly, can you still buy what you want?
Yeah.
What are you gonna buy?
100%.
Yeah. What are you gonna buy? Some
If
shoes.
I had $100 right now, oh, probably a new boom stand.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I like it.
For my
Okay. So
mic.
yeah, so whatever happens to that $100, it's still worth $100, right?
Yeah.
We just start with that. Listen, guess what, Riker? If your podcast, if this is all you do, like if it never just takes off and goes crazy, if you sat on your couch all day for the next 5 years, guess what? You would still be $100 bill. This is why. Because I just believe we came to this earth completely worthy $100 bill. We can't even take credit for it. We're not like, no, I did really good today and I got straight A's, so now I'm $100 bill. No, it's like babies. They do nothing for anyone. They can't even feed themselves. They can't do anything. But are we like, what's your problem? Why are you not starting a podcast? We're like, like you're not really doing enough. Like, do we ever think that about like brand new babies? No.
No.
What do we think about babies? Like when we see a brand new baby?
Cute,
Yeah,
small.
you're like amazing. It's like a miracle, right? But then also we
Yeah.
get older and we're like, shoot, I gotta prove my worth. I gotta see if I'm good enough. But like the truth is, you are $100 bill. You came that way. You can't do anything to mess it up. So then I always ask people like, well, then what are we doing? Why do we even care? Why are we playing baseball? Why are we starting a podcast? Why are we trying to do good in school? If it doesn't matter, if our worth doesn't improve, then why should we do any of it? Like, what do you think?
Um,
Good question.
yeah, you're putting me on the spot now.
I know because that's
Um,
how we're conditioned to believe. It's like if I do this, then I'm gonna be good, right? Like that makes sense. That's kind of how we were all. That's just like a how we live in the world we live in. Okay, this is my favorite reason. You ready? It's
yes.
because it's fun. It's just fun to do. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to accomplish our goals so we can feel good enough. We just want to. We just want to see what we're capable of. We just want to be like, hey, guess what? I'm a senior. I'm gonna start 2 podcasts. Like I'm gonna play baseball. I'm gonna go for it. Not because if I do, then I'm good enough or I'm worthy or anything or better even. It's just like actually the truth is I'm amazing right here exactly how I am, but it would be so fun to just see what I'm capable of. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%, yeah.
And like the energy that comes from like when you need to succeed to feel good enough or you need to get your goals so that you can feel worthy, that's exhausting. And I believe that's why people quit their goals because that's like unsustainable, And the truth is, have this ever happened to you? Tell me this. Maybe in baseball, I don't know. You're like, if I get this ring or if I get this, I win this game, then I'll be good. Does that ever happen to you?
I'd say the opposite.
Okay, tell me, tell me.
So I'm very critical when it comes
Mhm.
to pitching because I know I'm good. I
Okay,
can be very good.
okay,
But then, like the other day in practice, I
yeah.
was throwing a bullpen and I just kind of lost it, and I'm just like, where, what happened?
Okay, this is
And
so good.
I get down on myself and I get pissed because I'm like, this isn't me.
I hear you.
What's going on?
I hear it.
And then in games, like my coach talked to me about, he's like, in games when that happens, it's very easy for you to go downhill when you start failing
Yeah,
because you're very good, you know you're good,
yeah,
and when you're doing good, you're going to continue to do good, and one thing goes wrong
yeah.
and you let it affect you, it just goes downhill. And I was like, yeah,
Okay,
I can
right.
agree with that.
Like my favorite thing to coach people on is sports, mental sports. You ready for this? Okay, this is gonna be so fun. Your listeners are excited to hear this. Okay, you guys are hearing real time coaching for Riker Health. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna say. You can't hate yourself better. Like ever, ever, ever. Like when you say you're in that bullpen, tell me, take me back. You're in the bullpen. You're not throwing right. What are you thinking?
What am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong? Yeah. Like what else? Tell me what else.
I'll fix my mechanics,
Yeah.
try something different. Maybe I'm just feeling off that day, but
Yeah.
normally it's mechanic wise.
Yeah.
And I try to fix it. A couple pitches later, I'm still doing the same thing, and
Are you being
I
like
just
nice
start
to
getting
yourself in your head? Or are you being kind of like mad?
mad,
Yeah.
snarky,
Yeah.
just
Like,
like what is wrong with you?
what is wrong with you? That is
Yep,
okay. So when you think what is wrong with you, how do you feel? Like what's a one word feeling that you feel when you think what's wrong with you?
terrible,
Terrible. What else? Like a feeling.
bad,
Bad.
just all
Bad.
around bad, like
Okay.
a bad aura.
100%. So our feelings always come from our thoughts. Always, always, always. So your thought, so somebody could throw like you know, like someone maybe like my 10-year-old. He throws like you and he's like, sweet, that was awesome. You know, it's not a fact that exactly how you pitched made you feel bad. It's your thought about it. And you thought, you know, this is terrible. I'm bad. What's wrong with you? Right? And that thought is what makes you feel terrible, bad, right? So then once you feel terrible and bad, it's like I put terrible gas in your pitching arm. What do you do? I have a camera on you. What are you doing?
I don't know. I
You're thinking, what's wrong with you? And you feel bad. What do you do? What do you
just let it all out, forget about it.
okay, you're right then? Like when you're thinking, what
Yeah.
are you doing? So do you start pitching better when you tell yourself, what are you doing? And you're feeling
Um, in games, I feel like I do. In
okay.
practice, no.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes we switch our thought to like, okay, get it together or something. But when you think what's wrong with you in that moment and you're feeling bad, are you like focused?
No.
Overthinking things? Yeah. Are you
100%.
yeah, totally. Are you like are you pitching the best you can pitch? No, right? So your feelings make fuel your actions. So you start not even pitching how you would do. You're starting to be mean to yourself, and then what happens is you prove your thought true. You prove your thought true, which is like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not pitching how I know how to pitch. You see that? We
Yeah.
always prove our thought true. So your thought of like what's wrong with you? What are you doing? You make it true. And so also, okay, I'm gonna speed this up, but like that's a normal thing to do. Okay, that's normal. That's fine. We're not judging it. We're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but you can't hate yourself better. Like when do you pitch the best?
Um, that's a tough question because I think one thing, but then from last year it was completely different. So I think I pitched best when I had a good day at school.
Mm-hmm.
One.
Mm-hmm.
Two is adrenaline.
Yeah.
Do I have adrenaline running that day?
Yeah.
Three is just ultimately how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah. Totally. Yes.
And then
What if you're thinking?
I would say those three. But then like last year, my best game, I had a terrible day at school.
Okay.
I was super sore.
Okay.
I adrenaline wasn't there.
Okay.
And although we lost, I feel like that was my best outing all year.
Okay. Okay. Well, good to know because here's the truth. Like we want to get ourselves confused because then we can just feel stuck. But here's the truth. You were thinking something that was helping you stay in the zone. No matter if everything's going bad, the team's doing bad, you weren't giving yourself a hard time, right? It's easy to do when you're pitching good. You're like, yeah, you're awesome. You're doing great, right? But like, here's the truth. When you mess up, like, did you all of a sudden lose your worth? Are you a terrible baseball player? Should you quit? No.
No.
Like, you're still you, right? And here's the trick. This is what it is. You gotta love yourself when you mess up. You gotta be like, hey, what's up? You've heard this a million times, but like, you gotta like have a short attention span. You gotta let it go, right? And you gotta be like, hey, you know what? Look at me showing up here, freezing, cold, doing my thing. You know what I mean? Good job, Riker. And then you're like, hey, I got the next one. You know, like hating yourself is never gonna help you get better. Like it does for a short amount of time. Sometimes when someone screams in our face, we're like, okay, you know what I mean? But like for long periods of time, that's not sustainable. You gotta, when you have a bad game, you gotta be like, hey, what was going on? You gotta be like curious, like, hey, like talk yourself nice. Like, what was up with you, Riker? How you doing? Like, what do you need? You know, like talk to yourself like your best friend, like you would your best friend. Like if your best friend had a terrible, you know, game, would you be like, what, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, would you ever say that to them?
No.
No, what would you tell them?
There's next time.
There's next time. And he's like, no, that was such a big deal. Like, what's wrong with me? What are you gonna tell him?
Nothing's wrong with you because it was just a bad outing.
Amen. And
You
it's
have
literally a
bad
game.
outings happen.
Literally, it's a game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just listened to like the national championship, like the Ohio State. They were talking about how they brought this coach in, and he talked. Guess what he told them? He said, "You got to make football fun again." That's literally what he told them. He said, "You guys got to have fun again," and then they played way better. That's what they said. So it's like we got to remember. Hey, guess what? This doesn't change my worth. I cannot need to win or need to pitch good. I can just want to. Like, I know I'm awesome if I'm amazing today or not. I don't lose my worth. I believe in myself. I love myself. But you know what's awesome? Winning. You know what's awesome? Pitching great. Let's go do that. Not so we can feel like we're enough just because it's fun. So, sorry for that little tangent, but like I feel like it goes with our goals. Like we gotta love
Yeah.
ourselves even when we have a hard day. We can't just be like, well, I guess I suck. It's never gonna work. We gotta love ourselves no matter what. And then that will give us the energy to go and try the, like, say I have a bad day. I don't go to the gym. Everything's a mess. I'm yelling at my kids. You know, if I just like get down on myself, it's like, actually, then I feel bad. Then I want to scroll on my phone. I want to distract myself. You know what I mean? And then it's like, I'm stuck there. But if I'm just like, hey, guess what, JoDee? That was a bad day. So what? You're awesome. Like, you messed up a little. Who cares? Let's go. And the next time, I'm like, okay, new slate. You know? So it's like, we got to love ourselves even when we don't do our best, when we don't do our 1%, you know, on that day. If we love ourselves even when we don't show up our best, then we can have energy to flip it on for the next day.
Yeah. And like you said about like having a bad day, being able to flip it,
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the most important things to be able to realize that, hey, this minor inconvenience happened. How am I gonna get over it and continue to have a good day?
Yes. Yes.
If what do you do when you have this minor inconvenience that just wants to ruin your day? What do
Mm-hmm.
you do to like
Yeah.
continue having a good day?
Yeah. I hear you. I heard when someone say, like, when people are like, the worst day. It's like, did you have the worst day or like a bad hour or even like 5 minutes? You know what I mean? Like, we make it seem like we kind of like catastrophize it like this is a terrible thing. So, I mean, I am not a robot or perfect in this at all. But, you know, lots of times what I do, you know, our brain, we have thoughts all day long and like 80% of them are negative. That's just what our brains do. You know, it's looking out for the bad. And so what I do is like, and I teach my clients is to like talk back to your brain, you know, like say, I'm just trying to think something, you know, like what happened? I know. I backed into like, there's this dumpster. I parked at the gym, okay? And they have like these like doors that go on the outside of the dumpster, and they were shut when I got there, and it was dark outside. And someone had like they had come and dumped it, and they left the doors open. So when I backed out, I backed right into that door, and I was like, you know, and in my mind, your brain starts just like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying, like just telling you all the bad stuff. And first of all, I believe you've got to let yourself feel things. We can't just, like I said, be a robot. You can just be like, let me give myself 5 minutes to have a little, pity party. That's usually what it looks like for me. And then I'm like, okay, now what do I want to do? That's always what I ask myself. Now what do I want to do? Like, it's done. I hit the thing. Now what do I want to do? Well, I'm not going to ruin the rest of my day about it, Like, I just talk back to my brain. So my brain tries to tell me, like, this is terrible, this sucks, people don't like you. I don't know what it is. And then I'm like, maybe, or, and I give it like an alternate perspective. Like, because every thought that comes in your head is not a fact. And it's not even you. We just have negative thoughts. And we can just go around believing like everything that we think is true, or we can we can question it and be like, your brain's trying to help you. It's trying to keep you away from our brains think it's like tigers are out there. Like, this person doesn't like me, and this person gave me a dirty look, and nobody listened to my podcast. I don't know. I'm just thinking, and it's like
Yeah.
we gotta like remind ourselves like no one's here to kill us. Like we're safe. It's okay to feel feelings and be a little mad. Maybe you have someone to talk to. Maybe you go work out. You give yourself a minute, and then you're like, okay, now what? Like, am I gonna ruin my entire day, or I'm just gonna like let myself have a little pity party, 5 minutes. Now what are we gonna do? What do you do? What do you usually do?
Yeah, so I'll just talk about an example I had
Yeah,
because in my English class this year, it's called Literature of Social Change. It's a class where we voice our opinions, we talk about different controversial topics.
that could get scary.
Um, and I like the class because I wanted to learn how to I feel like I learn with an open mind already, but I wanted to be able to take in information with a more open mind, understand other people's opinions and why they think that way.
Totally. Yeah.
Um, and so we always start class with we read for a little bit and then we do a journal.
Mm-hmm.
And journal topic that I wrote about the other day was what do you do when one of your friends wrongs you
Mm.
or does you wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it for a little bit before I actually started writing, and I was like, that's a good question because I feel like you can take it different ways, but the ways I take it is if it's a minor inconvenience and it's something you can get over really quick,
Yeah.
because I can typically get over things and move on with my life because I feel like I have better things to do than hold grudges against people.
Yeah.
So if it's a small minor inconvenience, cool, move on.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. And then later on in my journal when I was writing is if it's something major,
Mm-hmm.
I always just distance myself
Yeah.
from said person
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll self-evaluate in my head. I'll think about it and I'm like, okay, how do I want to approach this? Because they did me wrong. What should I do? And I'll always just go through my head and think what's the best solution that I can make, and there's never a right or wrong answer. Sometimes we make mistakes,
Totally.
sometimes we make the correct choices,
Mm-hmm.
but I honestly haven't had to do any of that a lot this year.
Yeah.
But it's just if I realize that okay, they did something that I can't get over,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell them that.
Yeah.
Be honest. I'm a big honest guy.
Yeah.
It's just you're not gonna get anywhere without honesty.
I hear you.
And is what I think.
I hear you.
So be honest and open with them and then just like distance yourself from them. But if it is something that you can get over, it's just like, hey, I don't appreciate that you did this, blah, blah, blah. Explain it to them, forgive them, and then move on with your day because I'm not a big type of grudge person.
Totally.
So
Yeah. I like.
that's how I would handle something like that.
Yeah. Well, and I think the way you like even phrase that, like your friend wronged you. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was coaching you and you told me like my friend wronged me, I'd be like, let's make it a little more factual. Like look, like it's real dramatic. It sounds like they meant, it's this like dramatic thing. I would have us like find the actual facts. Like my friend, what? Like I don't even know. Like could you think of an example?
Started a rumor about me.
Totally. My friend said these words. Do you know what I mean? Like what words they say. Like my friend said da 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 da. Like let's make it a fact. Like it could be proven in a court of law. because what that does is it shows us it's just neutral. Like, say they said that you what I don't know you're what? What's a
I
rumor?
cheated on a test.
Okay, they're like, hey, guess what? Riker cheated on a test. Okay, they said these words, right? It's just neutral, instead of being like he wronged me. It's just like, okay, he told my friends I cheated on a test. Okay, so like some people might be like mad about that, some people might laugh about that, some people might that's dumb. Like some people would take it really bad, and some people would be like whatever. It's not a fact that we have to feel terrible. Like it's the same idea. It's like it's what we think about it. So if your friend lies or starts a rumor and says you cheated, like obviously you don't want to be like, yay, I'm so happy, like he's lying about me. You know what I mean? We don't want to do that, but like it's like, okay, like what do I want to think about that? Or how would you want to feel?
I'd want to feel like I can trust them, and if they started a rumor and was lying about something I did, I feel like I can't trust them.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. So it's like when you hear that they say that, do you want to be like devastated and angry and mad? Like, or do you want to just be like, okay, makes me a little disappointed. You know what I mean? And like what are you thinking? Like, what do you want to do about it? Like you said, why do you think someone would do that? Like, do you think like happy, confident, good people just go around telling lies about people? No.
No.
No. Like, here's the truth. Everybody's really awesome and amazing and also kind of a disaster. Do you know what I mean? Everybody, me included, you included, every single person. And if we just know that, like this is a really good tool. Lots of times we get in, it's called shame blame, okay? So like I don't know, like maybe if I talk to this, friend who doesn't exist that lied about your about you, he'd be like, "Yeah, but Riker did this." Like it's like what we do is like when we feel like we did something bad, we shame ourselves. We're like, well, maybe I haven't been a good friend to him, or maybe I did lie about him a little bit, and then we're like, no, actually, that was way worse, and I'm gonna blame him, and like, no, he's the bad friend, and then we're like, actually, but I wasn't really a good friend to him either. So then we start shaming ourselves, and we do this thing. It's called the shame blame. It's not like it's like a universal thing. This is just what humans do, okay? When we feel like someone wronged us, then we blame them, and then we shame ourselves, and we do this loop, and we can't get out of it. And the only way to get out of it, this is what I'm gonna tell you, is just to decide, guess what? Like, I'm kind of a mess, I messed up, and I love myself. Like, I actually wasn't a good friend right here, and that doesn't mean I'm a terrible person, and I can accept all of me, then I can have more compassion for my friend. When my friend wrongs me, I can be like, guess what? He's awesome in some ways, and he messed this up. And me too, you know? And it's like, I agree. Like, I think it's so awesome to have a conversation. I like to check my reasons why. Like, if I want to have a conversation, it's not to basically get an outcome from them. Does that make sense? Because if I'm
Yeah.
coming to them and I'm like, listen, I'm going to tell them this and they're going to feel really bad, they're going to take responsibility and they're going to say sorry and then they're going to be a good friend, then it's like all my power goes to them. So I like what you said when it's just like, listen, I'm the kind of person who doesn't hold grudges, but also I'm going to take care of myself. Like, I'm not just going to keep putting myself in bad situations with friends who do things, but like the reason I want to have this, I like to like my reasons. Like maybe your reason is just like, hey, I just want to be upfront and honest. Like I'm not here to like make you forgive me or make you say sorry to me, I should say. But I just want to tell you, and I get it. I'm your friend no matter what. But this is, and with no strings attached. Not hoping that they do anything. That's like I feel like the cleanest way to come into a conversation like that, and just remind yourself, guess what? I mess up and I'm awesome. So do they. And if it's a pattern, like you said, maybe I'm going to distance myself and I don't even have to hate them. Like, the truth is, it's like, listen, if you were actually happy and confident and felt good about yourself, you wouldn't be lying and making rumors about me. So you're probably having a hard time. And you're awesome, and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go hang out with people who, don't do that. But I don't even have to hate you for it. I can just be like, well, I guess maybe we're growing apart a little bit, or maybe they do say, oh, that was my bad. I'm so sorry, I did that, and we're all good. But we don't want to give all the power or put, all of our expectation on how they act. We want to be like, hey, I forgive him because that helps me. I'm not going to hold a grudge because that helps me, and I'm going to tell him this because it just feels honest, not because I need him to do something. That's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, and just going back and like having a conversation with someone,
Mhm.
being honest, I feel like it's just something that people my age struggle with, I guess. Being in high school, especially the new school I'm at, people
Mhm.
are like, I guess, afraid of public speaking, and I get that.
Mhm.
Or even like confronting someone about something. But just going throughout high school, those who go to college, after college, your workforce, other relationships, having conversations and being honest will take you further than you really think they would.
100%.
Because ever since I've been here, the conversations I've had and being honest with people
Mhm.
have gotten me a long way from where I started when I first moved here
Yes.
to I'm graduating in 4 months with all the connections I have.
Yeah, that's so awesome. That is, yeah, I agree. Like, just being able to talk to people, and I like it how you're just like, I can see you come into a conversation and just being like calm and chill about it, not like super, like pointing a finger, you know what I mean? But just knowing, like, hey, guess what? I'm not perfect, and neither are you, and this is just where I'm coming from, I think that goes a long way instead of coming at someone, like just remembering, like, hey, guess what? Confident people, this is what confident people don't have to pretend like they're perfect or they never mess up. Confident people are like, hey, guess what? I mess up a lot and I'm awesome. And I'm not here to pretend like I'm perfect. Like when people are trying to like, you know, just only tell you how good they are and just really like cocky and loud and never really defensive, they're actually really don't feel good about themselves. People who are confident can be like, yeah, I messed that up. I'm so sorry. And in their head, they're not like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst. They're like, yeah, and I love myself. And anyways, let's go have lunch. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
not all this drama. Like it's like I can mess up and I can be like, and I'm not a terrible person. Like, you know? So it's like if someone came to you and said, hey, Riker, guess what? You really like made me mad because you did whatever. You can like instead of being like, no, I did it, you can be like, let me think. Like you said, self-reflect. Like maybe I did. And if you did, that doesn't mean you're a terrible friend. That doesn't mean you're the worst and shouldn't, I don't know, exist. I don't know, just like how our brains start going. It's just like I can take responsibility and be like, hey, you're right. This wasn't my best, and I'm sorry. And in your head, you're not beating yourself up. You're taking responsibility, and then you're like, and I'm awesome. Like, I'm gonna try better. Let's go. That is confidence. You can love all the parts of you. That will help you improve instead of just stay stuck and defensive and all of that. So I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, and this just ties back to learning with an open mind and that class that I'm taking because say I do walk up to someone, confront them about an
Mhm.
issue, it's like calm
Yeah,
environment. I'm not coming at them or anything. It's just, hey, you did this. I want like maybe they'll think about it
yeah,
and then they'll tell me their side of the story and
mhm,
maybe with an open learning with an open mind, it's just okay, I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you did it, this, that, and the other. And being able, like, that's what
yeah,
my biggest goal was in
yes,
taking this class was open-minded and
yes.
listening to others' opinions and where they come from and why they think such things. So
Good. Yes, and when
I
you
feel like that's good.
yeah, listen to just listen instead of listen to react. Like I can find myself doing that where it's like someone's talking and you're like thinking of what you're gonna say, but like exactly what you're talking about, like I'm actually just gonna really hear you out here. Like maybe I did mess that up. Maybe I'm at fault too, Like and that's okay because I love myself even when I mess up. So I can actually have the energy to try again and show up the next day a little bit better because I don't make it mean I'm a terrible person. So I love that. An open mind, listening, and then just what we talked about is like going into that conversation already kind of clean in your mind. Like, I'm not needing you to do anything, Like, I'm just here to have a conversation. I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? I don't need you to say sorry to me for me to be okay. I got me, and I'm just trying to, I want to have a relationship with you, It's like, that's the healthiest way to go in there is not needing them to do something. Like, just to have, I'm just here to be honest, And so then however they act, hopefully they're awesome. Hopefully they're calm too. But if they're not, then I'm like, okay, well, that's not how I wanted it to go. But I'm okay.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and I know we're kind of expanding this a little bit, probably longer than you expected, but
That's okay.
I
Yeah, I like
I love this. I
yeah,
love this. This is a
yeah,
lot of good stuff.
like yeah.
I guess for everyone out there that's um wondering or wanting to do what you do, what does it take to become a certified life coach?
Yeah, so there's this, it's a school, it's called the Life Coach School. I followed them for years. They had a podcast, actually. Podcasts change lives, okay, Riker? And I was like, holy cow, this is like how, you hear like you need to forgive and you need to be positive and you need to, all these like abstract concepts. And what coaching did was it taught me how to actually do it, like in a game, what do you do actually when you're not, like what can you actually implement in your life? And so I listened to that podcast. I joined a different coaching program, and then I went to their school, and they have a certification program. And then I started. It's been like 3 years now. So I've been coaching teenagers, college kids. It's super fun. It's the best. And here's the thing. I think it's like it took me like years and years of just kind of like getting things along my path. You know what I mean? Like from this person or this person or, all these tools. And how I look at it is like, dude, if I had this when I was 17 and I knew, like, I don't have to just live at the effect of my life. I can, like, if I have anxiety, there's something you can do. Like, you can actually, you don't have to, like, live, like, at the effect of it. Like, it's coming upon you. There's tools that you can do, things you can actually do. You can improve your life. Like, not like our moms just tell us like just be positive, everyone loves you, I do it too, I'm a mom, but it's how you implement it. And I'm like, dude, if teenagers can do that, learn this when they're at this age, like I don't even know, like it would be amazing. You can, when I was in college, I went to college my first year NAU. I thought it was terrible. So then I moved. Then I thought that was terrible. Then I moved. I moved so many times. I think I had like 60 roommates. And you know what's the actual truth? It wasn't where I was, it was my mindset. I kept thinking, well, I'm not happy because of these people or this college or this situation or blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't any of that. Those are all circumstances, they're all neutral. It was the way I was thinking about it. And I feel like if I had tools to actually help myself feel better and not need anyone else to change, like, I mean, I'm actually glad that happened because it taught me a lot. I'm not like not happy that it did, but I'm like, this would help so many teenagers, in their lives to not do what I did. You don't have to have 50 roommates, okay? You can, it's amazing to be able to have something to do instead of just like telling you to like think positive all the time.
Yeah. One last question that I have for you. What's the most difficult thing about being a life coach? I don't know how many like clients you have or like
Yeah,
any of that, but just
yeah.
what's the overall hardest thing?
Okay, coaching is amazing. I love it. I could do all day. I would do it for free. I love it. The truth is, the hardest thing is like finding people because, I don't know if when you think of like a life coach, you're like, okay, what is that? That's why I always tell people, like, I don't tell you what to do with your life. I don't even know. I have to explain kind of what it is. Also, if I'm doing teenagers, I kind of have to get their parents on board too, which is like a whole nother thing. So I guess just like marketing, but that's why like I started a podcast just like you, Riker, and I'm just like trying to like help people know this isn't like kids with problems. Like it's like if you have a life coach, it's not like you have something's wrong with you. It's like actually like no, this is the stuff that they should teach you in school that no one teaches you. This is just like the things that are gonna like take your good life. Like it's for actually like normal teenagers that are doing really well, and it kind of like elevates them to the next level. And so the hardest part for me is basically like kind of breaking down the barrier of like lots of teenagers are like, my mom thinks I have problems, and then once they meet with me one time, they're like, oh, okay, it's not like that. But I guess it's just like the preconceived ideas that like this is therapy or I have problems. It's not that at all. This is literally like just tools to help you just like 10x your life and be able to be in control instead of just living like not living at the effect of like all the popular people, like I can't have friends because these people won't let me. Just all those stories we tell ourselves, like we just take a look at it and we teach you how to like take your power back and like go forward and move forward instead of being like in a pity party all the time, which we all can do. So I feel like that's the hardest part is just you know educating people and how it's just like it's actually just so awesome. There's like it's nothing, stressful about it. It's really actually fun. So,
Yeah, and I guess we'll go ahead and close this.
yeah.
You mentioned your own podcast. You want to go ahead and tell everyone where we can find you on all the social medias?
Yeah, so it's called Be Real with JoDee. So we talk about like your real self. Like kind of like the $100 bill thing we were talking about. It's like, listen, like you're amazing. It talks about we talk about your worth. About I'm just like kind of talking about like specific things that teenagers kind of struggle with, like being lonely or being left out or having anxiety or even just like goals, exactly like we're talking about. But yeah, so it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify. I do a video on YouTube as well. So anywhere, you just search up, Be Real with JoDee. And yeah, super fun.
Perfect. So I guess today we did a little rewind. We took it back from all the way when I moved away from Arizona. We had a little life coach lesson with Jody. We
I can't.
talked about goals, being 1% better each day.
Yes.
Um, I feel like we talked about a whole bunch of different things
Yeah.
that all came together and kind of connected it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that was good. I guess we'll go ahead and close this. I'm Riker. You're listening to House of Horizons, where we elevate our everyday lives.